This is Logan bowing in. Hello, friends. I'm sure that we will, in true Plum Village fashion, have friends trickling in over the next few minutes. So, including Brother Fat Blue, he'll be joining us in 15 minutes after we do our opening practice. Fat Blue is, when I emailed him and asked if he would participate in this webinar, he said, well, I'll be on a writing retreat. I'm sure he'll share this, but he was like, I'll be on a writing retreat with another brother during that time. Would it be possible for me to join for about 15 minutes and share, because so that he can have more time for his retreat? And we said, yes, that would be wonderful. So Brother Fat Blue will be joining us in about 15 minutes, and he'll be the first person to share on his experience of wake up and refreshing the Dharma and continuing Thay's aspirations. And I'm really looking forward to that. Before we do that, maybe it might be helpful. I'm wondering, maybe we'll do introductions for the panel after the opening practice. That might be so that it's more fresh in people's minds. But I see so many familiar names. And yes, if this is a webinar, so we can't see you, but you'll be able to raise your hand or ask a question for the Q&A. So just to give a layout of how the next 2 hours will go, for the first hour, we'll be offering a panel where we offer our perspectives on relationships and Sangha and livelihood and daily life as members of the Wake Up community. And it just so happens that the three of us panelists are members of the North American Wake Up Caretaking Council, very joyfully so. And after that, we'll have a little bit of a break, and then we'll come back and have some time for Q&A and sharing. So if you've got questions, be sure to write them down. We won't be answering them right away. We'll be answering them in the second hour. And oh, look, we have a little photo of our panelists. Oh, so nice, so lovely. So as we get settled in, I'd like to offer a very brief practice for us to arrive together today. I actually am not sure, I'm used to Zoom with the original. Okay, let's see, audio video settings. Let's see if I have an original sound option, because we all know, we've all been there. At this point in time, after 3 years, we've all heard the bell that's just in our minds because there's no sound. Well, I don't see an option, so we're gonna see if there's a bell in the historical dimension or if the bell's only in the ultimate dimension. So we'll see what happens. But I was thinking it would be lovely to start with the flower meditation, because the word fresh was there, and I thought, oh well, I'd like to be fresh like a flower today. So we'll practice for about 10 minutes, I'd say. And I'll invite 3 sounds of the bell to begin our practice, and 2 sounds at the end to close our practice. Listen, listen. This wonderful sound brings me back to my true home. Breathing in, I see myself as a flower. Breathing out, I feel fresh. Flower, fresh. Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain. Breathing out, I feel solid. Mountain, solid. Breathing in, I see myself as still water. Breathing out, I reflect all that is. Still water, reflecting. Breathing in, I see myself as space. Breathing out, I feel free. Space, free. Thank you, friends. I hope you feel fresh and free and solid and reflecting, or just one of those four or none of those four, whatever works. I see Fat Blue has joined. Let me make Fat Blue a co-organizer, and then I think you'll be able to. It worked. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Can you see me?
Yes.
Okay. Great. Oh, thank you for that meditation. Can you hear me now? Okay. Thank you for that beautiful meditation.
Would you like to share? I think we're ready for whatever's
Great.
whatever the conditions are present for to arise.
So I've never used this service before. I see Ellie and Ivan and Logan. Is that everyone on here, or is there are many people?
There are 71 people that are
Okay.
watching. We just can't say that.
So, dear Thay, dear friends, so my name is Brother Fop Lu, Brother Stream, and the organizers, including Logan, asked me to share for 10 or 15 minutes. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful that this is happening. That we're continuing to grow, wake up, and um, I'm a little bit older now, so outside of the wake up range. But I think we had a group of monastics very active since 2008 with Wake Up when Thay founded the whole movement, and it's been wonderful to see it growing and this kind of movement for young people to establish sovereignty in their own lives. It's so essential, especially with so much indecision and lack of direction in the elder generations. Um, so the principle of Wake Up has always been that the young people guide themselves, right? And so that's how Wake Up Sangha started. And there was a little bit of kickback at the beginning, and I think Ellie knows about that, and others who were there, because the older generation Sanghas thought, wow, but the young people, they don't have training. What if they, I don't know, do something wrong? And certainly there were incidents in some few Sanghas, but I think much less than the paranoia uh, from the elders. And yet some elders stepped up and they said, we are there for moral support, we're there for financial support, but we let the young people uh, guide themselves. And so we had the first wake up retreats, the first wake up tours. I mean, actually, we were doing retreats for young people already back when I was a novice in Plum Village in 2004. I think we had the first young people's retreat in Middle Hamlet. And there were, I think, like 14 young people and 14 older people above Wake Up. It took a number of years until we could convince the older people to leave the space, and the younger people grew. And then the Wake Up retreats, one of which you can read uh, about, or Thay's Dhamma talks about it in the Zen and the Art of Saving the Planet book, which was originally conceived as a wake up book. It was the wake up manual. Back when Fablin and Sitahinim and I sat together, and we said, okay, Sitahinim, you need to write this book, this wake up manual. And so it's taken many iterations to get where it is today. But anyway, when we started this whole process, the vision was that we would give space for the young people to be able to find their own path and respond to the situation that's there in their lives as young people. And fortunately, there are a lot of Dhamma teachers who, like Joanne Friday, who's now passed away, and many others in Ireland, Scotland, and many other countries, who saw the importance of what Thay was doing. And they supported moral support and financial support, but not trying to lead the young people. Let the young people see the way themselves. And there's also the famous story that Fablin told me. At that time, I was at Deer Park And so we did the first wake up retreat here at Deer Park in, I think, spring of 2009. And yeah, we were in Plum Village. They wondered, well, we have the 5 mindfulness trainings, and there was a question because, of course, young people don't like to. Sometimes some of them don't like to follow the kind of guidelines like that, and Thay went and put it on Fablin's bed and said, "This is the back." Like I think he said something like, "This is the core of wake up. It is the 5 mindfulness trainings." And that really was a strong statement. That so the 5 trainings became the kind of essence and core of this new movement for young people, and that actually the young people would help us to grow the 5 mindfulness trainings, like they have done with the recent revision of the 3rd mindfulness training. So we had a lot of fun doing these tours and doing retreats in Plum Village, and going on tours in England, and Ellie and Rob joined us for the first Wake Up tour in the US in 2011. I still have Ellie just recently, a couple of years ago, you sent the 2021, you sent the photo of us at the end of the tour. We were pretty tired, but we look all very joyful in that photo. Somehow. I was very happy to remember that now it's almost 12 years, or 11 and a half years that passed since that first tour. And yeah, I think we've learned a lot from this process. I think it's really helpful to start a movement and see that with our good intention, with a clear path, is we can do so much. We can really change the world. And that kind of set an intention also for us to follow when Thay had the stroke, uh, with all of those young people in a movement together based on Thay's teaching and the Buddha's teaching. We had a lot of support in every every country in Europe and in America. So when we started a new iteration of the Wake Up retreats, which we call Wake Up Earth, that came from the Happy Farm movement in Plum Village. We did a Happy Farm retreat, and people loved it so much that we decided, okay, we're going to combine Wake Up with a Happy Farm and call it Wake Up Earth, and focus on the climate crisis, but really not in a theoretical way, but really get all the young people to go down on the farm in Plum Village and get their hands in the dirt at least once during the retreat. so that the practice is grounded, so we're not just arguing about what's in our head, but rather we're really experiencing what it's like to put our hands in the earth, so we can remember that we're not separate from Mother Earth. That's just our thinking, that we think ourselves separate from Mother Earth, but the reality is that every cell in our body is the descendants of probably little prebiotic kind of little replicating cells coming out of black smokers deep in the earth more than 2 billion years ago, 3 billion years ago. And that warmth, that energy has continued from generation to generation into this particular iteration in a human body that we see here. And that is that kind of energy of deep looking, and seeing that Mother Earth is in every cell of our body has been always integrated into Wake Up. And I think it was that year as well that we had the gathering. Is that right, Ellie? 2015? Yeah, we had the tour, and there was a kind of gathering of many of the very active facilitators we call Wake Up ambassadors here in North America, as well as some from Europe. They came here to Deer Park. And somehow we had a wonderful energy in the group, and then somehow by the end of the retreat we decided to make a decision, which was to create a Wake Up North America CTC. And we learned how to do the Sangha Karman, which is in the monastic tradition, is how we make decisions. So it's based on consensus, and we clearly state what our intention is, this creation of the CTC, and then we created it, and we also proposed the first members, and that continues. Is that right? Yes. So this is also a continuation of that. Yeah. So that's just a little bit about the movement of Wake Up, and how it's been really like a crucial lifeblood for our Sangha. I see Wake Up as driving a lot of the innovation and creativity in the larger Sangha. Somehow, not all, but some practitioners, as they grow older, they get caught in their jobs and their life, having family, kids, and then so a lot of the ideals and aspirations get kind of suppressed due to the daily life, and that we're not able to really bring together the aspiration in our daily life. And so I feel as a monk very connected, even though I'm not Wake Up age anymore. I feel connected to all the young people and Wake Up, because it's like, as monastics, we keep that aspiration alive. We don't, and not only monastics, there are also lay friends who have changed their life. Like, Ellie is doing research in mindfulness at the University of Toronto, and I know Ivan and Logan and many others. Like, you're changing your life in order to find a way as lay friends, as lay practitioners, to continue to live your aspiration. But not everyone is capable of doing that, and so yeah, I feel like there's a synergy with the young people in Wake Up and the monastic, who, yeah, we decide to just continue this our whole life. To and it is easier not having a family, I have to say. Our family is a Sangha, and the Sangha is every day growing and evolving. And just to kind of, as my brother Montoy here at Deer Park says, to talk about the future of Buddhism a little bit. So there's a movement, a core group of young people here staying now at Deer Park, and they're very inspired by what they've learned, especially since Thay's passing, about the School of Youth for Social Service, which Thay and Suko Chan Kong started in the 60s in Vietnam. And that brought me back to 2014, the 21-day retreat, when a group of us, Martin, Elena, myself, Ava Avalos from Botswana, and some others, we actually drafted a proposal to, Wake Up. Thay saw it as a movement, not only young people sanghas, but as, bringing a movement, bringing about social change, and not just talking about social injustice, but actually in daily life, living, going out, helping in villages like in Vietnam. And so we are on the nascent stage of creating, the continuation of the School of Youth for Social Service here at Deer Park. So the proposal is a 15-month program. So young people can sign up for the 3-month retreat, the winter retreat, and practice with us here. And then the idea is they would then apply for this program. And then for the next 9 months, they would live here at Deer Park, and a few hours a week go and do some kind of social service outside in the community. So it could be in the hospital. We have a connection here with the hospital. It could be with people experiencing homelessness here in Escondido. It could be anything, maybe groups helping with domestic abuse, whatever it might be. And then we also do service here in the monastery. So that means for our retreats, or we might have a special assignment to help with the things that we're doing here, like communications, or we want to start a happy farm here at Deer Park, and then practice with the community. And the other part would be educational. So we would try to bring in lay Dharma teachers and also monastic Dharma teachers to do, multi-day courses during that time. So in between, when we have retreats and we're concentrating on serving the larger community. So that group would actually have a chance to have kind of more intimate connections with lay and monastic Dharma teachers who are themselves, engaged practitioners who are doing social work. And there are many of them. So it gives a chance for the young people to have direct mentorship and learn what it means to live an engaged life right here at Deer Park. And then at the end of those 9 months, then you would continue on to do the 3-month retreat the second time. And there you're actually coming into the role as a mentor for the next generation that's coming in. So the whole thing is a 15-month program. And it's born from, the natural kind of, I think, North American drive for young people. They want to serve. They want to serve the community. And also, many people doing the 5-year monastic program, that's maybe not kind of something feasible, but this would be something like a smaller chunk to kind of bite into 15 months. And it could be serve as the foundation for training for the order of interbeing as well. So, but that's, these are all kind of inchoate ideas. But the meeting really, we like to try to start this program with a small kind of pilot group this coming winter retreat, and then see where it goes from there. Anyway, I think my 15 minutes are up. So I just share some things, some exciting things that are going on here. There are many other things, but yeah, it's lovely to see the community growing here at Deer Park. And I know so many things as well in Plum Village. And I just came back from Plum Village, Thailand, where it's just so many young people doing so many inspiring things in Vietnam, in Thailand, in Hong Kong, Singapore, Indonesia, Japan. So it's just beautiful to see Wake Up continuing and flowering in an organic and distributed way around the world. Thank you for having me on here. And I would like to stay for the whole 2 hours, but when Logan asked me, I'd already made a commitment during this time. I'm actually on a writing retreat with one of my brothers. We're hoping these 3 weeks to finish the first draft of a book on mindful walking in nature. So send us good energy. But I'm going to return, and we have very limited time. It's not easy for us to get together. So I ask to be excused, but I would like to hear more. And if there's any notes or any insights that come from this meeting, I would love to hear. Thank you so much for inviting me here, Logan. And it's great to see all of you. Those of you I can see, I guess the L is Lewis. Is that right? Okay. So thank you.
Thank you, brother. All right, I will invite a sound of the bell before we continue. I love the little, I assume the attendees can see the little clapping things go. I love that. There's a little applause. That's really great. I'll invite a sound of the bell. All right, so we have about, I think, time for about 8 minutes per share from the remaining 3 people. And maybe, actually, is it 9? Can I do math? Wait, 9 times 3. Huh. We can have 9 minutes. So you can have 1 minute to introduce yourself. Since we didn't get around to introducing each other, I'm happy to go last. So Yvonne or Ellie, do either of you feel called to go first? I can, let's see. Maybe Ellie. Does that work? if you'd like, I can send you, I can maybe do some kind of gesture when you've got like a minute left. Would that be helpful? Okay, I'll
Yeah,
just sort of
please,
do
please gesture at me like 2 minutes before I should wrap up. That'd be
minutes.
wonderful.
Absolutely.
Mm. Mm. Do you do you want to read out, perhaps if you have it in front of you, our orientation for what we're kind of sharing on? I have some things percolating in my heart from Fat Blue, and then maybe I'll bow into share.
That sounds great. Let me pull it up. So our aspiration is to honor Thay's aspiration to continually renew and refresh the Dharma through the unique perspective and insights of young adults.
Dear Thay, dear Sister Ching Kong, dear beloved multifold community. My name is Ellie, and I go by she and her. I am joining you. I'll offer perhaps the University of Toronto land acknowledgement, which I like to acknowledge is just a paragraph. So it is limited by time and space, but just an opportunity to check in with the place that I am in, the earth below my feet, and just an invitation also for each of us who are coming in from different spaces and places in whatever way to just honor the land ancestors that we are with. So offering acknowledgement of this land, which has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Senecas, and the Mississaugas of the Credit. Today, this is still the meeting place to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live, practice, and play on this land, the University of Toronto. And at New College, where I teach and work, this has a commitment as a community to unlearn and grow from histories of violence and colonialism that still permeate our practice, and to listen and honor different knowledge, wisdom, and traditions that are part of the history of this space and this land. So again, dear beloved community, I'm grateful to be here with all of you today, and it was very nourishing to hear Brother Fat Blue share about some of the roots of Wake Up, and Logan has our Wake Up logo is wrapped on the shirt there, and just a happy moment to reflect on this path that I have been so grateful to be walking on with the Sangha. I see I am actually I'm getting old for Wake Up. I'm like, I was there at the beginning. I'm gonna be becoming a Wake Up caretaker sometime soon. But I also just want to acknowledge this beautiful gift of arriving here today and seeing so many familiar names that I can see in who is here, and just reflecting in this moment as we think of continuing Thay, of what our practice means, and this continual refreshing and renewal Thay's energy. You know, Brother Prabhu shared, like, how are we renewing and refreshing Buddhism? And I know those deep or I feel Brother Feplin is co-teaching one of my classes at the university right now, a topic I can share more on, but he keeps asking my students trick questions that like can't really actually be answered, but he'll be like, can you like give me a definition of mindfulness? And they all like study, mindfulness at university. They want to give him a definition, and then he's like, well, actually mindfulness can only be experienced. You can't give it words. So I just said, I know, and I was just calling in that, what do I know? When I am certain, check again. But I just wanted to say what a gift it is to see all the names of those here, and just to really touch in to this community that we are part of. That for me, so much of the refreshing and continuation of this is being one cell in a Sangha body. And so I haven't maybe read all the names, but I just saw like John Bell, my Dharma teacher mentor, is here, and I just feel so supported by seeing your name come in here. And Faplu talked very beautifully about how in Wake Up, it's this, I think, for me, like this continuation of a stream, the stream that has been, coming to us for so many generations with this wisdom of these teachings, and then through Thay and through our community. And I can feel that in this moment as I think back on those tours I was part of, The other two beautiful humans I can see here who are on the Wake Up CTC with me now, who are not there at the beginning and who have manifested. And I'm so happy for all of you joining today that you also get to meet them. Because I think a beautiful part of our practice and our community is that one Buddha is not enough. And I touch that every time we come to the North American Wake Up CTC. I get this beautiful relief, I think, in the face of what we are facing as a human family and as a spiritual family with all living beings on our planet. It can feel overwhelming. All there is to perhaps do. And really touching in this moment to invite all of us today to hear about Wake Up, knowing that Wake Up is empty of a separate self. So we are really part of this wider Plum Village family and global family. And yet at the same time that Thay recognized the need to create some space specifically for young adults. And so I hope one of my aspirations for today is to share a bit about who we are as the historical embodiment that is Ellie, to share a little bit if that's cool, and also this other body we're part of Wake Up, and then our wider Sangha body, and just for me looking together at how these different knowledge streams, the Ellie, the Wake Up, the Plum Village, whatever these labels are, how they can keep flowing together to really support the continuation of our practice, of Thay, and of our community. And one reflection I was having as we thought about this panel today, what to share, and perhaps I'll introduce myself a little bit more and some of the work I do to give some context for this. But something I've been really thinking about with Wake Up is how do we continue as a community to really create spaces where our different lived experiences can be held and seen and safe? And how do we do this with an energy not of separation, but this interesting dance we have, I think, with creating a space like Wake Up. And Faplu shared, at the beginning we had some support and some hesitation and worry, like what are these young people going to do? And I can share a bit about my experience with that. But what I want to reflect, and I'm looking forward also as we share, I'm just sharing from the heart. This is not a prepared sharing. I'm kind of just Dharma sharing was my plan for today. What's alive right now. I hope that my sharing right now just is offering some of my lived experience and perspective, and also sharing my heart with all of you so that when we get to the Q&A, you feel safe to ask questions, and maybe I'm planting some seeds for you on what my perspective or my lived experience might be able to speak to. So I'm really looking forward to co-creating what this session is. What is refreshing the Dharma and continuing Thay? What does that mean to all of us? I'm so curious to hear your questions and hear what that will bring out from those of us on the panel. So perhaps with a bit of time I have, I want to share a bit about my lived experience, my own practice, because we haven't totally introduced ourselves, and of course, the limitations of time and space. Well, you know all of me in the next 5 minutes, just a glimpse. But I'll start there, and then I'll just set an intention to share a little bit about some of the challenges that I have experienced as a Wake Up, or perhaps in the Sangha, and ways that I continue to learn and grow from those experiences, and how that's really helping inform my approach also now to how I can water the seeds of the 19-year-olds that are coming to Wake Up Toronto. How do I make sure they have space? And how does this also inform my approach to creating space for BIPOC and queer voices in my song, and what that means? So those are some intentions. How many minutes do I have left? Do you have any sense?
90 seconds.
90 seconds from now? Oh, I've been talking for a while. Okay. So I'll maybe give myself permission to talk a little bit faster just about my background. So I grew up in Toronto, Canada, and I went to my first retreat. I went to children's program with my mom and dad when I was 10 years old. So I had the joy of going through children's program and then teen program, and then just as I graduated from teen program, Wake Up started. So I just cruised into Wake Up. And you've heard a bit about my being part of planting some of the initial seeds on some of the Wake Up tours. My partner, my husband, Rob, was also on those tours with me and is also a member of the Order of Interbeing. And we are constantly intrigued and fascinated by the research question of how do we live our lives in the spirit of this community? We do so many things in our daily lives to say, how is our home a place of refuge, like a monastery? We have a whiteboard on our fridge where we have a daily schedule. We've put these like speakers around our home that are like wireless. And so before morning and evening sitting meditation, we play the Great Bell Chant from the Plum Village app. It just like resonates through our home. It's like we're at the center and someone's over on the hill doing the chant, and it's almost meditation time. We use beginning and news to cultivate and care for our relationship on a monthly basis, weekly basis. So integrating Dharma into my daily life is something that is just of great interest to me. I did my master's at York University in the School of the Environment, looking at classroom environments, and I did qualitative research going into schools in Bhutan and India with the monastics to do work looking at the impact of Thay's teachings on educational communities. And then for my PhD, I actually went to the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Toronto to research and study Thay's work and how it might apply to physicians and clinicians. So I finished that. So I'm currently based at the University of Toronto as an assistant professor in the Buddhism, Psychology, and Mental Health program. And I am so grateful. I teach the collection of courses I'm teaching this year are socially engaged Buddhism. They're all undergraduates. Research for mindfulness, so looking at research methodologies. I teach advanced topics in Buddhist psychology and Dharma, which Brother Feplin is actually an official co-teacher and zooms in for half the lectures. We're having so much fun cooking up the Dharma together. And then I also teach a course, Buddhist Perspectives on Current Social Issues, and have a grant from the university to bring in different voices to co-lecture in 6 of the courses, because Buddhist perspectives are vast and current social issues are big. And so Brother Papu actually has been co-creating the curriculum for this course with me. Kyra Jewell is coming in as one of the speakers, Melina Bondi, John Bell has come. At past years, I've had Joe Riley there, and just I share all of this to say that I am so grateful for this opportunity to walk this path of wake up, to really integrate the Dharma into my daily life as a way that I can see deeply into myself, care for my communities around me, and then all these ways that we can like innovate. Brother Papu has shared Thay's vision is that, monastics and monastic centers are not separate from us in the real world, that we are this integrated whole. And I love seeing in my undergraduate students, like they're just like, oh yeah, like Brother Papu on the app, like said this thing, and like they write it in their essays, and just really allowing this to be part of our daily lives. Maybe can I take one more moment, or I can save it, but just candidly to share one thing I was reflecting on. So yeah, so many ways of bringing the Dharma to life and challenges. I just wanted to share one reflection I've had for those of us thinking, how might we continue these teachings in Thay, and what might be some of the challenges? And I'm like, I'm on the record now, but I'm going to share this anyway. Is just to share, an experience that I have had as a young person in our Sangha sometimes that I think has been challenging. And I recognize like my own ego in this piece. So I share this with openness, but maybe also just like kick off some conversation. I've been so embraced and loved by the Sangha, and there also have been challenges. And one thing that I was thinking about when we were percolating on this panel was the number of times I have been on retreat or even in like an online day of mindfulness, and a practitioner has met me and assumed I am new to the practice based on what they can see, and sat me down and given me a lecture on who Thay is and who Plum Village is. And that's okay. We all make assumptions about the folks we meet. And my practice has been just to breathe and receive it, because it's actually really beautiful to like hear from someone why Thay is important. There's often like I get sat down at a retreat being like, you need to know who Thay is and why this is important, because it's important that you're here, which like I actually see like this beautiful aspiration there to invite me in and explain the community. This of course happened to me many times after I've been practicing the community for like 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. And so I sit, I breathe, I receive the nourishment of what that person wants to offer me. And at the same time, it has an impact on me when I'm in a space and someone singles me out and says like, oh, it's good that you're here and you should know why. And it makes me feel a little less of a sense of belonging. That person, had these assumptions about me, or do I need to prove myself, or like, these different things come up. And another example, we went to an online day of mindfulness, Rob and I, and whoever was in charge of the Zoom, I think recognized a few of us long-term wake-uppers and put us into a breakout room together. And then there was someone who was assigned to kind of lead the Dharma sharing. And they came into the room and they saw, I guess, what they perceived as young people, assumed we were all new. We were actually all OI members, all the wake uppers in that breakout. And they took up the entire Dharma sharing time to explain Thay and the practice to us. And the wake uppers who were there, like, I hadn't seen them in years. This was during the pandemic, and to be put in a Dharma sharing room, I just had wanted to hear their hearts. And we had no time for Dharma sharing. We all breathed. I know we received it. And so I just share this not to critique those moments I've had, but I just, for me, it reminds me to look deeply. What do I do when someone attends Wake Up or another space who I perhaps perceive as new or different or marginalized? I'm like, oh, there's someone here who's marginalized. I should make them feel welcome. And then what do I do with that? And like, what are those thoughts? And so I just share this, that I have had that learning for myself, that I want to offer that into the space for discussion today, and that it's really been an invitation for me to think about, how do I create space? And in our tradition and from Thay, what is this invitation where Thay continuously invited us to create affinity Dharma sharing groups, retreats that had specific affinity groups? And I want to continue to learn from that and just say my experience. I promise I'm wrapping up. My experience is that sometimes there can be a critique, like we shouldn't have separation, non-self. And I just really want to honor, I think, what Thay was inviting us to do, which is, we are not separate, practicing with all ages Sanghas, practicing with our Maha Sangha. It is an absolute gift. And my mentors on the path who are here are my beloved community. And I also see that we also want to honor the different lived experiences that we have in the historic dimension, and really continue to refresh and continue by offering those spaces. So I know the obstacle of knowledge is my assumptions, and I continue to look into them myself. And I lecture at the university, so I just talk so much. I'm gonna like notice myself and stop talking. I look forward to hearing from my other panelists and answering questions together and exploring the Dharma with all of you. Thank you. I know you are there, and this makes me so happy.
We're definitely gonna take our bio break will be pushed back so that because I feel like there's gonna be some sharing that goes over time, which is great, and that those are the conditions that are present. So I'm just gonna invite everyone to take a bio break as needed. That's one thing that's nice about being on a webinar, is we can't see you. So take us wherever you need to take us. I'm gonna invite Yvonne to share next. And Yvonne, would you like me to give you like a 2-minute ish, big emphasis on ish gesture? I can do whatever.
Yes, please, Logan.
Okay, great.
Thank you so much. Hello, dear friends. Are we taking the bio break, or should I just go? Logan.
Just go. I'll be right back.
Okay, got it. All right.
And dear Yvonne, I can't see you anymore. I just want to let you know. I'm not sure if you know that.
Interesting. Can you see me now? All right. Yeah, I don't know. Think the system preferred to turn my video off, even though I can see my video. So, not sure what to do here. Let me try to change my preferences. Can you see me now, Ellie, or nothing?
I'm having the same thing. Would you I can always share now, and if you want to maybe try exiting and re-entering the webinar, that might fix it. Do you want to try that?
Try it really quick.
Yeah, let's try it really quickly, and then maybe you can still go. we can breathe. We can always breathe and enjoy this wonderful moment, present moment, wonderful moment. This is a happy moment. This is a fresh moment. This is a joyful moment. You can spin around. Here's my Buddha. I can entertain you in the meanwhile. This is a leaf that my dear friend Lynn, who's on the call today, she got it in India at a tree where a Buddha gave a very important sutra for, and I cannot remember if it was, I can't remember which one, but it was maybe the Bodhi tree. It might have been like the Bodhi tree, but I hold that very dear to my heart. And then I have calligraphy. It says, "Be free where you are." Ellie has calligraphy. This piece
Ooh,
is
should I share one of my calligraphies?
yes.
While we're in? I was given this calligraphy as a birthday present from Brother Fab, who it's one of my deepest practices. Very auspicious. No, bro.
Nah, bro.
No, bro. I need to deeply practice what I say yes and no to, and how to cultivate space in myself. Actually, that's my interpretation of the calligraphy at this moment. You can all interpret it however it speaks to your heart.
That's like such a wake up. That's such a wake up calligraphy, right? Like that's it, like that's the vibe. That's the vibe of wake up. In case anyone's the vibe of wake up is Thay's calligraphy that says nah, bro. That is like that's wake up to a T. And another thing that's very wake up is my tattoo that I have of Thay's calligraphy that says no mud, no lotus. That is one of my, I would call it a possession, but it's my arm, so I don't think it's quite. But it brings me a lot of joy to have Thay with me always, even in the shower.
I like this like wake up interlude that we're having.
I know. It might be that. Let's see here. Oh, you know what? Yvonne is back. I think I might have to make him I see. Okay, let me make you a co-organizer again. Let's see if it works. I'm so glad we scheduled this for 2 hours because we knew we would need it. We have so much time and space. Yay, we can see you. Okay, great. Okay, you go.
All right. Can you hear me now and see me and everything? All right. Wow, interesting challenges with technology. Even though I'm a mechatronic engineering, I still have challenges with technology. I refuse to have technology outside work. So, all right. Thank you all for your patience. And if I'm bowing in. So, hello, dear Sangha, dear friends, dear siblings, dear Mahasangha, dear Thay, dear Sister Chan Kong. Yeah, happy to be here and with you all. It's very weird for me to not see people's faces and just see panelists, but I'll bear with it. I'm also dealing with part of the practice. So our landlord didn't inform us that they're gonna do some painting and washing of the apartment today. So I think they're gonna close down all the windows and the walls and start painting without letting us know anything. So I hope there's nothing interrupted. But anyway, so bowing in from Tonga land, from the Habitat land, Los Angeles, California. I go by pronouns he or él. I'm from Mexico, born and raised in Mexico City, and immigrated to the U.S. 2013 as a privileged graduate student, and got to do my grad studies here in the U.S. And yeah, feel very grateful for opportunities that the conditions that allow me to be here. I was fully funded by the Mexican government to do my master's here in the U.S. and partially by the university, and then throughout my PhD, receiving paid to study. So really lucky and grateful for that. And which has been part of my practice here, is how to honor the things that I've received, but also the work I put into achieving certain things in my life. It's not been easy to be an immigrant here and go around the workforce and needing visas to stay in this country, and always being, I don't know, evaluated a bit further and asked about where I'm from every single time that I meet someone, and instead of talking about who I am and judging that being a young person, maybe not overqualified or something like that in different spaces. And I feel like also in Sanghas, there's been certain assumptions, either good ones about age or not so good ones that you might not have practiced much, or with younger folks, they think like, oh, you've been so long in the practice. I'm like, well, no. So that's been part of the challenges of being a young person, a wake upper. To be honest, in certain spaces, not being ordained or being a Dharma teacher has posed a bit of a gating factor in obtaining of information or being allowed into conversations or groups. And it's been very challenging. And part of me is just being honest here and just like, well, this is the mod part of it. And along with privileges of being a young person and being okay to try and learning as we go. Might be a bit easier to also just go with the flow and be in the learning process, because also it's accepted in a way. So it's been an interesting journey for me in that sense. Brother Pablo mentioned that there, for Wake Up, there was a lot of wanting for Wake Up to be self-guided and to have our own initiative, which is amazing. It's very empowering, but also can be super challenging when also when you're starting sanghas, or there's groups that might not be connected to others. And that was one of my experiences, that we did not have a lot of information in our local sangha from other sanghas, or about even, the person who had the information did not share, like, hey, there's a monastery 1.5 hours from here. And there's monastics, and there's lay practitioners and lay Dharma teachers. So part of this safe self-guidance, I think the challenge is that there's also a lot of responsibility from whoever is facilitating or facilitators to share about what they have been guided. And so it can be very challenging in the sense that you might just feel lost, and there might be times when a lot of difficult situations comes in sanghas, and especially I felt in younger groups there's a lot of tension for multiple reasons, and in multicultural groups that we might not have the capacity to know how to address this, or be in harmony around it, and we might suppress it and not talk about it. So that part of self-guidance can also be a bit challenging. And I myself found myself in the situation of having a sexual misconduct in a sangha from the facilitator, and we did not know what to do. Or well, the people that were facilitating did not know how to handle this, and it took some time to reach out to the Maha Sangha for guidance. And I think that a bit of the separation from other sanghas or from Dharma teachers or monastics, like, impacted the time in which we were able to address this. And it was challenging, but we ended up getting support actually from the Wake Up CTC and the North American ambassadors. It just took time, and sometimes it feels like, wow, we need to solve this now, and what are we doing? And it's really painful to deal with that, and especially I feel when you're a young person and there's a sexual misconduct challenge, at least for me, at that time I was single, and I was experiencing attraction to some sangha members, and I was like, well, what do I do now? I cannot show up in sangha. And then I was facilitating at certain point the sangha, and I didn't want to invite people to my home. We were hosting in houses, and I was like, well, what do I do? Do I host in my space where it's a male space from where I cultivate, my, I don't know, my different energies. So it's very challenging to not have that support or guidance, and yeah, not knowing how to deal with these things and asking for support within your Sangha, and everybody's like, well, we don't know what to do. So it's part of the beauty of it. I think that also strengthens a lot of the aspects of the practice, and that made me look deep and deeper into the 5 mindfulness trainings and how do I actually embody these guidelines? Do I actually resonate with them or not? How can I adapt them? Or how can we as Sangha adapt them? And how can we, generate our new guidelines, or take these as a base and really reflect upon this? So I think that different forms of mod have really helped me to enhance my practice and be more committed to it, and understand that I don't have all the answers, that my practice is just one perspective, my point of view. So also opening up myself to hearing others and understanding from others and listening to different experiences. So that's been a lot of the beauty of being a wake upper, of also having so many like people who are like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna give you my opinion, and more adventurous to speak about things and engaged and maybe not fearful about it. So yeah, those are a bit of the things that I wanted to talk about. I could continue talking about this, but lastly, yeah, this being a wake upper also is challenging in the sense that I feel like at least for me, when I was in my 20s, I was exploring still myself. Who am I? And I still am. It doesn't stop, but I feel like at those points, it's just so crucial to find that identity, and I'm not feeling understood. So that might lead to a sense of not belonging. And sometimes our Sanghas might be the only space where we feel that we belong. And when we have colliding thoughts with others, like it might even take us like further apart, and maybe like, well, who am I? Like, am I alone? Am I just the only one that's different or think differently? So yeah, I think being a young person trying to practice and finding your own way requires a lot of patience from others also, and understanding, which is a great way to actually embody the practice of true love and compassion and understanding of each other, uh, which I hope that's what I can bring into spaces. Anyway, I think that's all I have to share for now, and thank you for your patience. Bowing up.
I will set a little timer, though. Like we're being a little loose today. We're in true Plum Village fashion. We're being a little loose, taking out the minutes. Giving us some more minutes out at the seams, if you will. Hi everyone. My name is Logan. My pronouns are they, them. I am a PhD student in the Department of Philosophy at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And my research is actually all about mindfulness. Surprise! What a surprise. I am trying to get going this field that I call the philosophy of mindfulness. And my research, I'm also a moral philosopher, so most of my research is about the intersection of those two things, of mindfulness and morality, which, if you haven't guessed, is inspired by the fact that I was exposed to mindfulness through the teachings of Thay. And as the first thing I was taught about mindfulness is that it is the foundation for ethical living and for moral progress. So basically what I'm trying to do with my dissertation. I just defended my master's thesis last week. I'm presenting to a group of people on Tuesday that hopefully Ellie, I think, is going to go to. But my work is trying to defend this idea that being a mindful person is a morally good way to be. And even if you're not a Buddhist, that's a big thing for me. So even if you, I'm trying to convince people that, you know, they like, no self, what is that? And, you know, a lot of philosophers are very suspicious of these things. So my work as a philosopher is to try to find a balance, because philosophers don't like it when you say there's no definition of mindfulness. They really don't like that. I'm trained in what's called analytic philosophy. So I try to find a balance to try to make everyone happy, which means making everyone just a little unhappy, but, you know, trying to find compromises that we can all live with. Yeah, if anyone is out there you can go to my website. If you Google me, if you go to my website, loganscottmitchell.com, you can email me and get in touch, because I would love to, if anyone else is doing research on mindfulness, I'd love to stay in touch. So I'm not going to talk about that though. I'm going to talk about wake up. I had this image today in meditation earlier of a mud bath. I thought, let's have a little bit of a mud bath together. It's good for the skin. May not always be the most comfortable, but, you know, my favorite phrase, no mud, no lotus. Within the mud, there's a lot of lotus. But I'm going to start with talking about my aspiration here is to water wholesome seeds, just like that's my aspiration in life, is to help make the world a more mindful place. I'm going to talk about sexuality and relationships. So, you know, trust your body. I hope I don't say anything that's really that disorients you, but, you know, trust your body, do what you need to do. And I also just want to share that, like we've sort of heard from the other panelists about some of like the power imbalances that arise from being a young practitioner, I don't think I'd feel comfortable sharing what I'm going to share if I wasn't wearing a brown jacket. So I'm just going to name that. I'm going to name that I received the 14 mindfulness trainings with the Dharma name True Continuation of Compassion in 2021 at Deer Park Monastery. It was one of the most powerful moments of my life. But I certainly wouldn't be telling you this before, because I would have been worried that someone would have said something and that I wouldn't have gotten ordained. So I'm just like, whether or not that's rational, whether or not that would have happened, I'm just want to name yeah. So, but I want to start with what I really love about Wake Up. So what I love about Wake Up, one of the biggest things is that whenever I've practiced in Wake Up Sanghas and spaces, I'm trusted. When I share about my relationship with the third mindfulness training, the 14th mindfulness training, what's worked for me, what doesn't work for me over the years, because I've been here for over a decade, I've recited these trainings. I recite the 14 mindfulness trainings every week. I recite the 5 mindfulness trainings every week. I've recited the 5 mindfulness trainings basically every week, at least every other week for at least 6 years. So I know what it says. And I engage in certain behaviors that some people would say that there's no way that aligns with the third training, right? But when I tell people some of the behaviors I engage in sexually, when I'm in a wake-up Sangha, there's no suspicion that it's rooted in wrong view. There's no suspicion that I just haven't been practicing long enough. There's no suspicion that I just don't get it. There's no suspicion that I don't care enough about ethics or Thay's teachings, or there's no suspicion that I am, I'm just too full of craving to see past it. I'm just too full of craving to see that what I'm actually doing is unwholesome. Because what there is that there's trust that I can discover what is wholesome for me, what the wholesome way of working with the third mindfulness training is for me. And there is trust that no one else has lived in my body, and that the answer for me may be different from the answer for you. Because certainly what I don't want to say is, so like, for example, I'm polyamorous. I have a partner, he has another partner. We have a relationship structure that I call relationship anarchy. We have no rules. But we have a lot of care. This is the most care. I've been in a lot of monogamous relationships. I can tell you right now, this is the most loving, joyful, open, communicative, talk about sympathetic joy. Like I've never, because I don't get jealous anymore. Which is wild. I had to, and I worked through it, but we've been together for 5 years. I don't get jealous anymore. To me, that seems like the embodiment of Thay's teachings. But some people don't think so. And so the thing that I love about Wake Up, and just like Fablu said, what's so important about the sovereignty of the Wake Up Sangha is that we are given the space to discover what is wholesome for us. And something I love that Yvonne mentioned is that that's challenging, right? And we need the communication between Sanghas. The mentoring that I've had from some of my mentors are here today on the call. I see BK's on the call and Susan's on the, I mean, some of my dearest Sangha siblings and mentors that are not, you know, or like that were Wake Up and now aren't, or that, you know, whatever, that was essential to my liberation. And they were essential to me finding what was true for me. And in part because they knew that the answer might be different for me than it was for them. And there wasn't this sense that this is not Thay's teachings. There wasn't a sense that if we wanted to go to Sangha and use the term bellminder instead of bellmaster, there's no sense of, well, that's not Thay's teaching, so don't do it. And not everyone in our tradition has that kind of flexibility and openness. So I'm going to be honest about the mud, but that's the mud with Plum Village sort of brought with the Mahasangha. There's some mud there. We have something like a don't say gay problem. And it's funny because I know all of the Plum Village practitioners, I'm sure, were really against that Florida bill, I'm sure. I can almost guarantee that everyone, you know, politically, like, we're whether we like it or not, we're a pretty politically homogenous group. So let's also, we can name that. We don't have to pretend, we can name that. But I think that what we don't realize is that in some of the Sangha spaces, there's a little bit of a don't say gay or a don't say polyamorous or a don't say sex norm. Because if you do say it, you're met with suspicion. And remember, suspicion is not a wholesome mental formation. It's an unwholesome mental. If you go to the 51 mental formations on the Plum Village website, suspicion is not wholesome. But compassion is wholesome. Sympathetic joy is wholesome. Equanimity inclusiveness is wholesome. And that would be my invitation for everyone here. And also, the reason I wanted to share this is because no one was sharing this publicly when I was figuring out things, and I thought something was wrong with me. I thought, why do I keep having these experiences that aren't causing me harm? Like, you know, years later, I had these quote unquote casual experiences, which I think we should move away from that term. BK told me something that I really like. Why do we use that term? It doesn't have to be just because there's sexual encounters outside of a long-term committed romantic relationship, especially in the queer community. Let me just say that it can be so healing for us. Sex is different for us than for a lot of straight people. It just is. And if you don't know that, it's because you haven't been in a queer body. But it's different. And I thought something was wrong with me because I thought, you know, I'm deluding myself. I thought I must be deluded. How terrible is that? That I thought that I was 18, 19, 20, and I left the practice for a while. I stopped reciting the trainings because I thought I just can't make them work. I thought, because I was such a perfectionist, I thought if I was going to be here, I had to be, you know, quote unquote, you know, perfect in that way. And even when I started my aspirancy as an Order of Inner Being member, I thought I had to do that too. And I thought, okay, is the pandemic, I was like, I'm gonna try to put the square peg in the round hole. I'm gonna just try to make it work. And for a couple months it did, and then it didn't. And then and I realized it's not me. It's not me. It's the way I've been interpreting the trainings. I view the trainings as a kind of constitution, like a living document, right? More living than the Constitution, probably, actually, because it's a lot easier to amend, as you saw. But we all have different interpretations of the Constitution, different ways of interpreting. And for me, when I think of deep long-term commitment, that's about my practice. That's about my values. That's about being committed to my Sangha, being committed to my deepest aspirations, but not getting caught up in what I consider to be sometimes this kind of purity culture of, if you don't do it this way, you're kind of dirty or you're bad. And that doesn't resonate for me. The narrow perceptions of relationships, as the Arise trainings say, and I think they do such a good job of talking about how narrow perceptions of intimate relationships can cause a lot of suffering. And but if anyone on the call here needed to hear this, I hope that you know that it's not you. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not deluded. You're not just blinded by craving. And if you're someone who's hearing me speak and who somehow, that's what your mind is producing, if those are the thoughts coming up in your mind, just work with that. But you don't need to tell me. I don't need to hear it. Because guess what? I practice in this body every day. I practice in this spot. I meditate for an hour. I meditate for an average of 60 minutes a day. I spend time in my body. And I breathe and I drink my tea and I have a great time. And I feel joy. And I love life, and I love our practice so much. And it is because of Thay that I have been able to find myself and to be myself. And as Sister D says, who's my favorite, and as you know from what I've just said, Sister D has a very different perspective on sex than I do. We are all the way on different, but there's the spectrum's just in the historical dimension. Ultimately, we're one, right? But she says, be your own soulmate. And that's something I 100%, where we're just BFFs on that, because she says, be your own soulmate. And that's through being polyamorous and through releasing myself from what I was experiencing as the shackles of this kind of narrow interpretation of sexuality and what kinds of sexual encounters were wholesome or unwholesome. When I allowed myself to experiment, like Fap Lu said, to experiment with different ways of life, with experimenting, when I gave myself that freedom, I found freedom. I mean, surprise! Like I have found that has been liberatory for me, and I know that that's not true for everyone. I know that for monastics, giving these quote unquote restraints, that's what makes them free. And what I love about Wake Up is that we hold both of those things are true. That what's true, I get to be free in my way, the monastics get to be free in their way, and then we get to be free together. And that's what I love about Wake Up, is because the monastics don't say, your way of being free is not so free. Your way of being free is actually, you're secretly still, you've just deluded yourself, or whatever it is. Or your way of being free isn't what Thay taught. Your way of being free is bad. I have experienced vibes like that, looks like that. Like I've experienced things like that in all ages Sanghas. Doesn't feel good. But I can say I've never experienced that in Wake Up space. Even though I have so many Wake Up friends who love they're monogamous. They have, for them, the answer to some of these questions about what's wholesome sexually for them are more quote unquote like traditional or whatever you want, like. But even those folks, there's never been any suspicion. But I've encountered a lot of suspicion. And so my invitation for us is to learn from the wake-uppers, to witness what it can be like without suspicion, what a Sangha can be like without that suspicion and with trust, when we can trust that you're on your path. And if I ask you for guidance, please give me guidance, and give me honest guidance, but realize that that guiding someone to your truth may not, is that, I don't think that's the right way to guide someone. We should be guiding people towards their own truths. And of course, I think some things are, I am a philosopher. I think some things are true and some things are false. Obviously, I don't think people, I'm not going to guide people to do things, to lie to a bunch of people and be a really mean person. I'm not going to do that. But to recognize that we all love the 5 mindfulness trainings. We love Thay's teachings. I love the practice of mindfulness. I aspire to walk this bodhisattva path and to trust that I know how to walk. To trust that I know how to walk. And if I need help, I'll ask for help. But I don't need you to push me. I don't want you to push me, actually. Yeah, I think I'll end there. But I just want to say thank you to the other 2 panelists for your wonderful, beautiful shares. I'll go ahead and invite a sound of the bell, and then maybe we'll take like a 3-minute bio break, and then we can come back at 30 minutes past the hour, and then we'll have some time for Q&A and sharing. But I will invite a sound of the bell. Well, dear friends, let's go ahead and return at 3 minutes past the hour for our Q&A. This is Logan bowing out. I'll go ahead and invite a sound of the bell. This is Logan bowing in. I hope you had a lovely break. And so the way that we'd like to do this in our last half hour is, you're welcome to type a question in the chat, or if you'd like to raise your hand, we'd like to invite, if you're a wake-upper, we'd like to center wake-up voices first. If there are any wake-up friends that have a question, you're welcome to address it to an individual or the whole panel. So for now, just raise your hand if you're a wake-upper, and then I'll let everyone know when we open the space for people of all ages. Okay, I see we have one hand with Min Chow. Let me see if I will allow you to talk with video. Let's see if it works. And you don't have to turn your camera on if you want, but whatever works for you. Let's see. Oh, I can't hear you. Let's see. Are you muted? Sure, take your time.
For a bit. Could you try speaking again, Mincha?
If you're on a browser, sometimes you have to like allow the microphone. It could be that, the permissions, yeah. I know I've gotten so used to Zoom, it's so weird being on a different team. Remember Skype? No one, we don't even know what that is anymore. Maybe if we make you a let's see. Oh,
Oh, we've
I
lost.
think she might be
We did.
rejoined. Oh, cool. There she is.
Okay,
Oh.
so just refreshed, and I think I am. Yes, okay, I was on phone audio for some reason. Hi, everyone. My name's Minchao. I've actually met all the panelists in different circumstances through like wake-up retreats, through Sangha organizing across the country, through work with the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation. So I was so happy to just be here to listen to you all today. I will be brief. I have a question for all the panelists. So lately, I've been thinking a lot about our community and how we're in this, what I feel is a really crucial moment after Thay's transition, where we as a community are really being called to step up and decide and take responsibility for how our community is going to grow and develop now. Now that our, big figurehead teacher is no longer physically with us in that embodiment. And I feel like this is a worldwide feeling of, and wondering of where are we going next. So I wanted to ask the panelists today, in your view, how should our global Plum Village community develop or evolve so that we can stay strong, so that we can grow stronger and continue to impact the world, especially, with the theme of today's panel of keeping young people and future generations in mind. What's a hope or aspiration that you have for our community? And your answer can be specific about, a specific change or development, or it can be broad. Yeah, I just wanted to hear you speak on that. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, I didn't. Everyone's been hearing me so much, so I'll try to be brief so people don't get sick of me. But that's such a great question. Honestly, the thing that came to mind, this is bold, and I don't know if it's possible. I actually don't even know if it's actually the right thing. But we still have a very gendered division in the Sanghas. I don't know what the solution is, because as we know, most monks identify as men and are heterosexual. Most nuns are also identify as women and are heterosexual. So I understand that there's unique things that arise. But the fact that the nuns have like 100 more rules to follow than the monks, I think that's a problem. And I know a lot of people don't, and maybe I'm sure I mean, that's the kind of thing, again, I don't know how to say that if I wasn't wearing a brown jacket, but it doesn't make sense to me how in the ultimate dimension, like gender's not real, but but we're still gonna treat, one gender's gonna have more restrictions than another. So I would love to see explorations into how the monastic community and the practice centers could move to acknowledge the biological and physiological and hormonal realities of being in one body versus another, and the logistical challenges that provides, and helping to water wholesome seeds, especially for people who have taken a vow of celibacy, like that's important. But exploring that while also, making sure that more non-binary people and more nunks, as I've heard Fap Jung describe, and we know we have Clear Grace, identifies as a nunc in our tradition. And, Melina Bondi used to be a monastic, and they're gender queer. And so making more space for that. And also for the female identifying people in our tradition to be treated as what I think equals, because I know that's controversial to say, but I'm not sure that they're really being treated equally in all cases. Yeah.
And Ellie, would you like to share first, or are you okay with me sharing? Okay. Yeah, thank you, Min Chao. That is a big question, and I resonate with what Logan is saying, and just remembering the experience of meditating at the monastery. Like one side is female body, one side is male body. I don't know, like I sat down on the other side one time by mistake, and everybody looked at me and like, well, what's the problem? I didn't know the first time that I went to Deer Park. And I think that's, yeah, many times I remember hearing Thay about like the next Buddha will be the community Buddha. And so how can, and I think, yeah, it's an interesting time in which like our the guidance, like these transitions. So how do we continue on, and who takes that leadership? Um, well, for me, it'll be great to have a togetherness. I feel like I see the importance of different groups within Plum Village, but also I'm sometimes concerned, like, why don't we act together? Like sometimes I see initiatives doing trainings around the same topic at the same time, and it's making me choose between, oh, do I go to this training, or do I go to this training, or to this? And like, it's great to have that variety, but sometimes it's like, well, but why are they not talking together? And why are we not working together to find, like what could we grow together as communities? It feels very divisive right now and separated to me. um, Understanding the importance in diversity. So to me, my aspiration would be to see a unite conglomerate, and where we could also have like all ages spaces where it's all ages, because usually, to be honest, all ages becomes elder, and wake up becomes like wake up. So it's like, and now there's middle way emerging, but also it's like, well, where's that actual mix of all of us, and not having the OIs and the Dharma teachers and the lay practitioners and the monastics. Is like, when can we be all together in the true beloved community? um, Sometimes I miss that. I miss that togetherness, and I think it's being called for. I understand this, the opportunity for spaces that are, specific for addressing certain topics or practices, like BIPOC spaces. Of course, I feel so much refuge in it, but also I want to be with all. So I don't know, sort of decentralized way, a decentralized network where we could all grow together and have guidance from different folks that want to offer their knowledge on specific areas. Have something like that, and have that back and forth. Like also stepping back, I think is something that is missing a lot in certain spaces. When it's like, hey, I've been dominating this space, let me step back and allow others to actually come and teach and share and give other perspectives. So I think it's calling for a balance in multiple ways, and I kind of feel like this, and even the earth is, shifting polarities and trying it out and seeing what emerges. So anyway, thank you. That's a wonderful question. I think I'll be pondering it for the next month. All right. Well,
Ellie bowing in. So nice to see you, and your face popped in. I was like, oh, it's like a family reunion today. Which is such again, just like a gift of being part of this community and walking this path together. And yes, a wonderful question, a question to answer over many lifetimes. And in this very moment, I think what was coming up for me was also Thay will sometimes translate the word faith to confidence when you see him give a talk. And I really like that translation, to really say that I have this faith, this confidence in our community, and sitting here in this moment, just taking in the Dharma rain of my siblings who shared in this panel, seeing your face pop in, Brother Fat Blue, just the names that are here today. I think in so many ways, like what is next is right now. And I have a lot of confidence in that I can hear the path forward just like from the folks who I have heard from today. And I know there was that theme at the last retreat. We have a path. There is no longer anything to fear. That we have these, I think, these gems and these gifts from Thay, and that I have so much confidence in everyone here to carry them forward. And just in hearing those last answers, and so I think I rest easy in what is next, being what is happening right now. When I see the monastics and our lay community and like what is coming into the world from everyone, just like in this moment, I'm like, wow, this is it. And that isn't to say not to take action or to brainstorm or like come together. I want to ask the question back to you. I was like, well, now you're on the panel. Welcome. Why don't you answer the question too? And you can actually. I can pass the mic to you for a second if you have anything to add in. I don't know. Now I'm stepping on Logan's facilitation. That's the thing. But I think that's so much it. One Buddha is not enough. We are already here doing the work. I had this image the other day of like Thay, like this, like just this like diamond that broke into like a million diamonds. The emails I get, the talks I'm going to, like right now, there are so many bodhisattvas in our Sangha, and we are everywhere doing everything. And then like my students, I was just grading their midterms for this course that I'm teaching with Brother Feplin, and like whole other thing, like giving an assignment and grading on the Dharma, whole like philosophical question we had. But the assignment was like write in their own words about like storehouse consciousness and emptiness, and to bring it, write their midterm like they were explaining it to their peers. And then I read each of these midterms, and each one was a continuation of Thay, just like calling back to me. And I was like, what is happening? So yeah, I guess my aspiration is that we will all continue on this path together, and that I have a lot of confidence that what is next is what's happening right now. And on that note, while I have the mic, I am just gonna take a moment to say, to promote some events we have happening in Toronto this May. If anyone's around, I got a grant from the university, and then like this whole tour happened, and we have a music and poetry night with some of the phenomenal monastics. Brother Feplin and Sister Trinum have put Thay's poetry to music. Hip hop artists coming up from Washington, D.C. to perform with them. We've got a public talk and a retreat, and just like this moment of like, what's next? And I was just like watching this manifest. I was like, oh, Thay, like I feel he's so happy knowing like this like hip hop music poetry night is happening. Like that's what's next. It's right now. So anyways, promotion of my events. If you're on the OI listserv, it's been posted there. We've posted it to wake up. I will stop talking, but thank you for the question, and just like thank you, dear ones, for being this continuation.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So a couple of good questions in the chat, but that are similar. And one's from Loan, which, oh my God, Loan, Auntie, I love you. I'm so happy to see you. I missed you. We need to Zoom. Loan and I met at Plum Village, and we just there were no words. We just were connected instantly, and I'm a huge fan. So, but Loanne asks, and Elaine asks too, who I also know. So obviously, I think same Elaine that I know from Plumline. They're both talking about how can we continue this dialogue, the kind of intergenerational dialogue, especially knowing what we know, that when an all ages Sangha gets formed, there just tends to be, like, it's just because the way the conditions are. And I know this happened, I founded, I have so many of my beautiful Sangha siblings on the call today from my Sangha, Joyful Mountain Sangha, that my friend Zach and I co-founded in 2020. We're about to celebrate our third anniversary, which is super exciting. And we've had a lot of young people join, and still, like the sort of natural way that things happen is there's still kind of an imbalance in terms of the ages. And I think that, that's just a pretty common occurrence. It's nothing that we're doing wrong. So that's something I'd be really curious to hear other people's perspectives on. I think that more concerted intergenerational efforts, I'm not sure that just like having I'm not sure that it will necessarily happen as much in regular Sangha meetings, but I'm wondering what efforts we can continue. That might be a task for us actually at our next CTC meeting, our next task, to think about how can we explicitly connect. Because if you just have an event where you're like, we invite young people, and a lot of times it still ends up like this. And so I don't know the answer right now, but that is a wonderful question. And if anyone else has anything to say about that question on this panel, I would love to hear your answers, because I'm planting that seed, because there's something very good there.
Ellie bowing in, and like, Minto, not to put you on the spot, but like, you could totally join our panel. Like, now that you're here, feel free to bow in. You don't have to. It's optional.
No, I'm so happy to be here. I actually was like, should I still be on camera right now? But I also do want to share about my question, like my answer to my question, because we're all gathered here, and I feel like it's such a good opportunity. And I'm trying to practice, just like inserting myself more, because my default is to not do that, and I know I should fight that. So I will try to answer both my question and Lon's question in a brief answer. So I just want to share that my aspiration for our community is to bring back to life Thay's practice of socially engaged Buddhism. I am doing also PhD. We have a lot of nerds in our community, which I love. I'm also getting a PhD in history, and my dissertation is about broadly the Buddhist movement in South Vietnam during the war, but specifically it's really tied to Thay and the roots of our community, and how Buddhist youth were mobilized during the war to relieve suffering, to try to build a nation nonviolently. And I really feel like we have a great opportunity to bring that to life in the rest of the world now, because Thay became a global teacher. And so I want us to bring that spirit of social service, of, just like fiery compassion back to life. And I guess recently I've been thinking, like, why can't every mindfulness practice center also be a center for social service and social action? So anyway, that's my brief. There's so much more, but I think that's my biggest aspiration for us. And I think that can really galvanize and like energize a young generation to join our community and really commit to the practice. And then for Luan's question of how can non-wake up folks work more closely with wake uppers and improve communication, understanding, and collaboration. In my personal experience, it's been really nice to connect with older mentors on a more like one-on-one basis. I know, I totally agree with Logan that, sometimes when we create spaces that are like all ages, like wake up and all ages, then it kind of skews. but when we have opportunities to connect on a more personal level, it's really fruitful. And also Lon's like my auntie also. So like I'm speaking from personal experience here. It's like that, those kind of connections are so crucial because it doesn't feel like, you know, space intrusion. It really feels like connecting with people that we vibe with, that we really want to receive guidance and support from. So I think maybe non-wake uppers can, yeah, maybe just say I'm available to you, and just make themselves known so that when we do have something, we can reach out and develop that one-on-one relationship. So I will. That's what I'll say. Thanks for letting me join the panel. Good job bowing out.
Thank you, Min Chao. So I see Donna. I think we are running low on time, and so Donna, why don't could you raise your hand, Donna? You asked a question, but it'll be easier. I can let you speak if you raise your hand. It'll be easier for me to find you. Ah, there you are. Okay, let me allow to talk with video.
While Donna's joining us, just for fun, I was like, my dissertation is sitting on my desk. And this is my 400-page dissertation, but it starts and ends with a quote of Thay's. And I'm like so happy to be on this path with all of you, just like bringing both like Thay's like scholarship and practice to life. So yeah, I just wanted to share. I had it like sitting here and I was just looking at these beautiful quotes from Thay. Is Donna here though? Because I want to give space.
Let's see. Did it work, Donna? It looks like. Let me try one more time. Let me try allow to. Oh. Ah, yes. Hi.
I'm trying to clear my screen so I can you see me?
Yes, yes, we can see you and hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
I can't see the rest, but okay. Thank you so much for letting me ask a verbal question. I am not a wake-upper. I'm more than twice the age of wake-uppers, but I've been in the fourfold community for quite a while, and was really grateful for this opportunity to be able to join a wake-up event, so it give me some insight to what wake-up is about, which has really opened my eyes significantly. And I was quite surprised that it's moving ahead almost separately from the fourfold Sangha. Like it seems to me, wake-uppers just hang out and wake up Sangha, integrated in the whole community. And that leads me to the question, once someone is past 35, I get the impression somehow they're allowed to stay and wake up longer, but I'd like some verification of that. I know Ellie mentioned that she's going to be aging out and she's on the caretaking council, so I'm curious about that. But what I really want to share is so many of the issues that come up affect the whole community, like the queer issue that Logan was talking about. And I belong to World Interbeing Sangha, which is an online Sangha. You can find it. And to me, it's the vision of this total community that everybody can find a home in. We don't have a wake-up separate meeting, but it would be nice if we did. But we have LBGTIA. They haven't transitioned to the queer label yet. BIPOC, mindful parenting, a group for people with disabilities, neurodivergent people. We have a group for people with physical disabilities. They meet in their separate little affinity groups at the certain meetings, but then they're part of the whole Sangha and can join the whole fourfold Sangha and any of the other meetings that are open to everybody. And it's such a beautiful space to integrate things that, and I've heard people from those different affinity groups say how wonderful it is to have the affinity group, but then be with the total Sangha. And they are, I'm not a part of any of the affinity groups, but I see the same people. So it's really quite beautiful. So I just wanted to say one more thing. I know we're short on time. My granddaughter lives in the Los Angeles area, and she grew up by me taking her as her grandmother to Deer Park, which is within the distance of Los Angeles. And then she aged out of the teen group. And I kept trying to say, oh, you need to join a wake-up community. Well, in the greater Los Angeles area, huge. How many million people are there? There's 2 wake-up that I can find on the wake-up site. And I don't think they hold regular meetings and not in person. And so it's not really, there's nowhere for my granddaughter to kind of access something that's familiar to her. And just wanted to point that out, that it seems like there's the lack of availability. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk. Bowing out.
Thank you so much, Donna, for sharing. I love what you're sharing. And I think a lot of us agree that having the affinity groups and the spaces to go to retreats together, to practice as one, like that's the aspiration. That's like the deep aspiration, is to be able to do that. So I love that. We're running low on time. I don't know, Louis, will we get kicked off at 3? Will it just like shut us down? I hope it won't. But
we'll be able to keep going.
We won't be able to keep going?
I think we will.
We will. Okay. Let's hope so. I apologize in advance if it does. We've all been on Zoom meetings, right, where you're like, oh, I have a and then the meeting ended by host. So we breathe with that if that's what happens. But we wanted to talk about Donna. So our dear CTC friend Chris Pham has been doing some work with, and I mean, well, Min Chao, you're here. So I mean, you talking about Donna, actually, I can probably just pass this on to you. But Deer Park is just began a new capital campaign, and there's a lot of really great opportunities. So, like the Wake Up CTC, we don't have our own like funding system or anything like that. In the past, the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation has been very happy to support us with individual projects on like a project by project basis. And so if you're so interested, if you're so inclined, or if you feel inspired to offer some Dana, we would invite you to contribute either to the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation or to Deer Park's capital campaign. I don't know. There's not really a chat, so I don't know how to put it in the chat necessarily. I guess I could. But it's pretty easy. Oh yeah, there we go. Louis put it in. Yes, and I think if you click that button, it should link out. But I assume most of the people here are familiar with the work of the Thich Nhat Hanh Foundation. Great, I love to see that. Okay, we didn't get kicked off. We're 1 minute late, so that's good. If you have to go, I understand. But maybe I'll just invite people if there's any last closing thoughts. I'm so excited. I also wanted to share, I'm teaching a Buddhist philosophy course in the fall. So as part of my PhD program, I had to teach philosophy, and I was very happy that I get to assign Thay's book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teachings, as one of the course textbooks. So I just wanted to share, that was just like a happy Plum Village moment of being like, we're gonna do it. Like, we're gonna talk about Buddhist philosophy in a way that's not just in our heads. We're gonna get in our heads because it's philosophy, so we have, but we're gonna do it in a way that will help us suffer less. And so that's my final moment of joy to share. What about Ellie or Yvonne or Min Chao? Yeah, all of it.
May I add something very quick, Logan, to all? So just continuing the conversation. So something that we tried in initiative, Beloved Community Circles, which we're starting and dedicated to the action dimension, is we offered a retreat where we said, okay, 50% of the participants is guaranteed to be BIPOC and young. And we were not going to have a retreat, or we were only allowed people, if we had that 50%. So let's say we needed 8 people. If we only had 8 people and young, there would only be another 8 of different demographics. And that was like our commitment. So that was an effort to, kind of have like, how can we have this space, which is mixed, diverse, and all voices can be heard? And I think, in certain retreats, that could just be offered. Like, hey, we are committing to making these inclusive and diverse. So making that active effort, like, saying it out loud, like, hey, this is, what our commitment is, and holding to it. That has been something that worked for us to, and then it was great because we had all ages joining, and young and BIPOC and white and everything. And it was awesome to have that. And that was one way that really helped, which, it was, well, what if we only get 10 people? Well, that's what it's going to be if we want to commit to this. So luckily we had 35 people, but just to put some ideas out on how this maybe could be done. Thank you, buying out.
Ellie's bowing in. Also, shout out to John Bell in the chat. We were saying, like, people you vibe with, and just like, we started John Bell's Dharma teaching our tradition, and we started mentorship when I was ordaining to the OI in, I don't remember, 2015 maybe. And then we just kept meeting. We just meet once a month, and like, we're just besties. It's great. There's no separation of age there. We just like, we mentor each other, we hold each other, we share. And so that's just a gift. And I just wanted to mention that. Just a few quick things. No beginning, no end. So I hope today is the beginning of a conversation that all of us can like see and hear each other more, know who to reach out to. Also an invitation, any wake-uppers on this call who are like, I want to join the North American CTC and support, like, reach out to us. Luz, can you put our like email in the chat? We're always looking for folks to like come hang out with us and like help us continue ties. So just an invitation. I also put in the chat, Wake Up Toronto's website has all the May events. So if you want to come up to Toronto and hang out with us and like the next gen of monastics, it's like they're doing cool things. Go there. And also for any wake uppers in this gathering today, Wake Up Toronto is currently practicing online. You want to like drop in 1 week and say hi? We're a little non-local right now. That's fun. And also to this question of just like, yeah, I love the question. How do we keep supporting each other to have like in the historic dimension, like spaces for different affinity groups, and also how to be together as a community? That togetherness is so beautiful. And so just, yeah, that reminder, like what happens when you age out and these things is like guidelines, not rules. Like I think so many of us here have probably been on like a 5MT panel where we're trying to like articulate that like they're guidelines, not rules, and what that means to have like a guiding North Star. And I think we really noticed that also in Wake Up. We had a joint gathering with the North American Dharma Teachers Council at Deer Park where we had all these working sessions. And something we talked about is like, what is the age? And we started actually calling it like 20s and 30s versus like till 35. So it's like the week after you're 35, are you out of Wake Up? Like that doesn't seem congruent with our tradition. So just, just to say, I think, congruency with our practice, which is guidelines, which is everyone's lived experience is different, is multiple truths. And so there's so much to explore here. We have no answer, and the answer we have right now will change with our next breath. And so I'm just happy to be exploring this together and giving ourselves that permission. And I'm just going to read like the tiniest part of this quote that's at the start of my thesis, because I think it applies right now. And I love it. This is from Thay, from The Sun My Heart, in the introduction. Meditators, since the beginning of time, have known that they must use their own eyes and the language of their own times to express their insight. Wisdom is a living stream, not an icon to be preserved in a museum. Only when a practitioner finds a spring of wisdom in his or her own life can it flow to future generations. Keeping the torch of wisdom glowing is the work of all of us who know how to clear a path through the forest in order to walk ahead. And I start my dissertation with this quote because it felt like Thay was peeking over my shoulder and giving me permission to like make this the language of my times and my space. And so thank you to being on this path together. I'll bow out and I'll maybe just plant a seed. Lewis, if you can tell us or others, like, I think we're recording this, where will it be? How does that happen? I don't know if we know that. And just so grateful to be here with all of you.
Louis bowing in. Dear friends, thank you so much for attending. Thank you, panelists, for being here. I know I've been lingering without my video on, but I'm here too. We will reach out to all attendees afterwards with a link to the recording of this fantastic panel. So expect that in the next few days. I realize this is a new platform for almost everyone. So thank you for your technological patience. This one allowed us to do this for free, which is a big thing for us wake uppers. And other than that, yeah, I put a few links in the chat for where to contribute Donna. We're raising funds for Deer Park Monastery. And if you're interested in joining the North American Wake Up CTC or becoming a Wake Up content coordinator, we are seeking both of those types of people. And you can email info@wakeupwkup.org for that. Thank you all. Bowing out.
So for those of us who are still around, it's always nice to end with some bells, some beautiful moments together. And someone told me that the bells actually sound okay, so that it's not. So I will invite I'll invite 3 sounds of the bell for us to come together. Thank you so much, dear friends. Yeah, this has been wonderful. I feel really happy and joyful. Just feeling great. So I'll go ahead and close us out. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your weekend, full of mindful breathing. And yeah, if you want to get in touch with any of us, if you email that info address, I know you can also go to my website. Or if you just Google me and Google like UNC or so, I'm pretty easy I'm pretty Googleable if you want to email me personally. But Lewis, you can give my email to anyone if they want. And I know Ellie's pretty easy to find too. People in academia, we're pretty easy to find. And I think Yvonne put his email in the Q&A if you're looking for that. So yeah. Yes, and oh my gosh, of course, Jeannie, we felt very, very strongly that it was so important to have this be a space full of everyone, all ages, watering wholesome seeds for all sentient beings. So the plants and the minerals weren't here. Well, I guess they're in the background. Okay, we might have a lot of attendees that are like me, where like they don't want to miss anything. And so like they just will stay, like it's just kind of like a battle of like who will stay the longest. But I think since we're done with everything, I get it. Because some people are like, this is so juicy, I don't want to miss anything. But I think maybe I will close out our panel. I'm just feeling so much gratitude, so much joy, and so much love, and so much everything, all the beauty. So thank you so much to everyone who came for 2 hours. Thank you for spending 2 hours of your day with us. That's like that really means a lot. And also, I have loved these little emojis that keep popping up. Honestly, it felt when I was sharing it, it felt like I felt so held. I was like, why does like a little emoji with sunglasses make me feel like so much belonging, but somehow it does. So I don't know. It's kind of wild, but okay. Okay, I'm really gonna click exit now. I love every single person on this call, and I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.